Beth McGuire had dreamed of Tahiti for years. The white sand beaches, the turquoise water, the swaying palms. And now, as she shuffled down the jet bridge with her boarding pass clutched in one hand, it was finally happening. But the strange things started before she even found her seat. A stewardess with warm, knowing eyes stopped her in the aisle. "Miss McGuire, you've been upgraded to first class." Beth blinked. She hadn't requested an upgrade, but who argues with first class? She thanked the woman and slid into a plush window seat, pressing her forehead against the cool glass. "Excuse me." The same stewardess appeared again, her smile gentle but firm. "Your assigned seat is actually the aisle." Beth glanced at the window, then back at the woman. Before she could respond, the man in the aisle seat, a broad-shouldered businessman, waved his hand. "Take the window, I don't mind switching." The stewardess gave him a look, a sharp, disapproving look, as if he'd said something terribly wrong. But she said nothing and walked away. Beth settled into the aisle seat, unsure why it mattered so much, though. Then the captain appeared. Not over the intercom. In person. He stood right beside her, his uniform crisp, his eyes serious. "Ma'am, please make sure your seatbelt is fastened tightly." Beth nodded, clicking it into place. When he left, she turned to her seatmate. "That was odd, right? The captain coming all the way back here just for that." The man frowned. "What captain? Nobody came over here." A chill ran through Beth. She stared at the empty aisle where the captain had stood and said nothing more. As the flight climbed over the Pacific, Beth noticed something else. People were watching her. A woman across the aisle smiled at her, warmly, as if they shared a secret. A flight attendant passing with a drink cart gave her a gentle nod. A child 2 rows ahead turned around and beamed at her. Every smile felt deliberate. Every glance felt like a message she couldn't quite read. Beth's chest tightened. She unbuckled her seatbelt and made her way to the lavatory, locking the door behind her. She gripped the tiny sink and stared at her reflection. "You're being paranoid," she whispered. Then the captain's voice filled the small space. "All passengers, please return to your seats immediately and fasten your seatbelts." Beth dried her hands and stepped out. But no one else was moving. No one looked alarmed. The other passengers sat calmly, reading, sleeping, watching movies. Had she imagined it? She dropped into her aisle seat and reached for the buckle. Then she heard it. Not through her ears, inside her mind, the stewardess's voice clear as a bell. "Tighter, Beth. Pull it tighter." Beth's hands trembled, but she obeyed, yanking the belt until it dug into her hips. 3 seconds later, the world exploded. A deafening crack split the cabin. Metal screamed and tore. The fuselage ripped open like paper, and the sky rushed in, cold and violent. Beth's seatmate was gone in an instant. Seats, luggage, people, all swallowed by the howling void. Beth squeezed her eyes shut, her seatbelt cutting into her, the only thing keeping her alive. When the airplane finally scraped down onto a runway, smoke pouring from its shattered body, Beth was still in her seat, shaking, breathing, alive. In the chaos that followed, she found other survivors, huddled together on the tarmac. Their eyes were wide, their voices trembling. "Someone told me to move seats," one woman whispered. "A man I'd never seen before told me to brace," said another. They looked at each other, and slowly the truth settled over them like light breaking through clouds. They had not been alone on that flight. Angels had walked among them, sat beside them, whispered to them, all to save as many souls as they could. Beth looked up at the sky, tears streaming down her face, and whispered, "Thank you."